Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Biohazard 2 Real Survival. In the last episode, Claire finally managed to gain access to the weapons storage locker by obtaining the missing key card, which conveniently was located in the autopsy room in the basement underground of all places. Well, at least we know where the person who was supposed to have held on to that card turned up, which is rather unfortunate. But in the meanwhile, we now have all three stones needed to unlock the Gateway of Doom, the secret passage hidden in the office of Police Chief Brian Irons. The time has come to prepare ourselves because we are finally saying fare thee well to the police station once and for all, so I think I'll store away the ink ribbons and the bowgun and the quivers, but in exchange I believe I will be taking a pair of mixed herbs with me, just in case. Still don't know where Leon is at the moment. We haven't caught up with him in a while, and hopefully we'll get in contact with him again at some point with the walkie-talkie that Claire conveniently has in her possession because Leon gave it to her in the first place. And we're actually going to have to try and find Sherry at some point because last we saw her she was still at the disposal facility, but we can't get cold feet now. I'll have to brave the lion's den and see whether or not Irons has returned to his office or not, so moment of courage, here we go.
Claire!
Sherry, you're okay.
I'm glad to see you're safe, Claire.
And we're glad to see that you are safe and somehow managed to get out of the sewage disposal facility. But we're not complaining, at least we don't have to go searching for you anymore. That just leaves Leon to catch up with us at some point. But now that we have the stones in our possession, we can actually make some progress. Now, reading the riddle once again on this what appears to be a Mayan or Aztec style portrait. At least I think that's the case. The sacrifice dies by the claw of the jaguar. Its blood forms a serpent that poisons the earth. An eagle glistens, bathed in blood, and the gateway of doom will open. Well, let's put the stones in the order that we just read. So first is the claw of the jaguar. I didn't mean to read the riddle again. Next is the serpent that poisons the earth. And finally is the glistening eagle bathed in blood. And thus the gateway of doom is now open to us. And quick question, adventurers. If we needed all three of the stones in order to access this conveniently placed hidden passage, how did Brian Irons manage to circumvent it? If indeed he did use this as a escape route of sorts. Yeah, definitely calling hacks on that one, Chief Irons. Thank you very much for leaving this conveniently placed document in your hidden passageway. Conveniently titled, Mail to the Chief. To Mr. Brian Irons, Chief of the Raccoon City Police Department. We've lost the Mansion Lab facility due to the actions of the renegade operative Albert Wesker. Fortunately, his interference will have no lasting effects upon our continued virus research. Well, it seems that Umbrella have now gotten wind that Albert Wesker has betrayed their interests. And the reason that they're aware of this little fact is because, well, Chris, Jill, and the other STARS members inadvertently mentioned that to them when they submitted their reports to Brian Irons, who is the chief of police. Yeah, didn't really think that one through. Unfortunately, oh, in any case, they couldn't have known the extent of Umbrella's reach in Raccoon City to begin with. Of course, that now has completely changed, and as far as we are concerned, Albert Wesker lies dead and buried, either killed by the Tyrant or mauled to death by Chimera, and is now nothing more than a memory, along with the mansion laboratory in question. Our only present concern is the presence of the remaining STARS members: Redfield, Valentine, Burton, Chambers, and Vickers. Unfortunately, one of these names can be crossed off the list, that of Brad Vickers, who unfortunately became a zombie. So that's one less STARS member in the world. If it comes to light that the STARS have any evidence as to the activities of our research, dispose of them in such a manner that would appear to be purely accidental. This is sounding rather ominously like the X-Day orders that Wesker received during the mansion incident. But it's already too late about this, because the STARS already have all the evidence to Umbrella's research activities from Arklay. But of course, they couldn't really follow through with this in the month of August, because during that time the STARS were pretty much in the media spotlight, and even those who didn't initially believe their stories about the Arklay Mansion Laboratory and the Umbrella Corporation's viral experiments at first, even they would find it ominously suspicious when the STARS mysteriously vanished shortly after they returned from their investigation into the Arklay murders. Continue to monitor their progress and make certain that their knowledge does not go public. Annette will continue to be your contact throughout this affair. William Birkin. So this proves, or what we already know, is that Brian Irons is responsible for stonewalling the Arklay murders and the mansion incident investigations. To Mr. Brian Irons, Chief of the Raccoon City Police Department, I've deposited the amount of $10,000 to the account for your services this term, as per our agreement. That's actually a fairly small bribe, if I'm actually being honest. The development of the G-virus scheduled to replace the T-virus is near completion. Once completed, I'm certain that I will be appointed to be a member of the executive board for Umbrella Incorporated. It is imperative that we proceed with extreme caution. Redfield and the remaining STARS members are attempting to uncover the information on the project. Continue to monitor their activities and block any attempts to investigate the underground research facilities. Signed, William Birkin. Well, now we know the name of the scientist responsible for the existence of the G-virus, well, the fact that William Birkin is its creator. It's already a little too late for that, because Jack Hamilton has been working on behalf of Chris Redfield in order to investigate the newly developed G-virus, although they haven't had much luck, given his report. But this now reveals to us that the Mansion Laboratory wasn't the only research facility that the Umbrella Corporation has in the area in the vicinity of Raccoon City. There is in fact another laboratory, one actually even more vast than the rather compact Arklay lab. One right beneath the nose of the people of Raccoon City, no less. To Mr. Brian Irons, Chief of the Raccoon City Police Department, we have a problem. I have received information informing me that Umbrella HQ has sent spies to recover my research on the G-virus. There are an unknown number of agents involved. They must not be allowed to take this project away from me, as it represents my entire life's work. Search through the city thoroughly for any suspicious persons. Detain any such individuals by whatever means deemed necessary, and contact me immediately through a net. With these precautions, any possible threat should be eliminated. I will not allow anyone to steal my work on the G-Virus, not even Umbrella. Signed, William Birkin. Looks like the Umbrella Corporation are planning to stab Birkin in the back and abscond with his research. Just goes to show how much the Umbrella Corporation values loyalty, even internally. But that also explains the patrol report. Remember that Sergeant Neil Carlson had reported a suspicious individual skulking around in the sewers. Maybe that person in question was one of Umbrella's agents. I believe this is more of the Umbrella Security Squad, or USS, who is the same organization, the same security squad that was stationed at the Arclay Mansion as well. The mail to the chief has been filed. Let's see what else is in this hidden passageway. It appears to be an elevator. It appears to go down. Well, we're going to have to descend sooner or later, and I don't think it's safe for us to take Sherry with us, so we're going to have to play it safe.
Claire!
I'm going down there. Stay here and wait for me, okay?
Believe it or not, Iron's office is currently the safest place in the precinct right about now. Crazy as that sounds. What's on the other side of this elevator but a tunnel of sorts with walls covered in green-grey moss. Almost befitting of an underground passage, but we're going to have to confront Irons sooner or later, so might as well get this over with.
Ah! Help me! Ah!
And that was truly an ominous sign. That blood-curdling scream was that of Brian Irons himself. And looks like the creature that was hunting Sherry earlier, the creature that she warned us about, has finally made its first appearance of sorts. But strange as it is, we are actually probably going to have to help Mr. Brian Irons after all, in spite of the fact that he is a truly dangerous individual who is not to be trusted. At the end of this ominous passageway is a door marked with two burning torches, kind of reminiscent of a Mayan or Aztec or some sort of odd ritual or some kind of thing. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but it's certainly befitting of Iron's macabre personality. This is probably what, well, this is definitely what the unfortunate secretary of Brian Irons had figured out, and probably was removed as a consequence. But we've come this far, so the only way forward is to step through this door. So let us enter and see what lies beyond the other side.
So you've made it this far. Not bad, girl. But I'm not letting anyone leave my town. Everyone's gonna die.
Calm down, Chief. What happened?
Shut up! You couldn't possibly understand what's happened. Those monsters from Umbrella have destroyed my beautiful town. How could they do that to me after everything I've done for them?
So it's true. You have been working with Umbrella. Then you must know about the G-Virus. What is it? Tell me!
If you must know, it's the agent that can turn humans into the ultimate bioweapons. Superior to the T-Virus in every way. Dr. William Birkin is the genius behind the project.
William Birkin.
I'm sure you've already seen his little girl running around here somewhere. Sherry, isn't it? In case you haven't already figured it out. The monster that's been tearing my precinct apart is yet another product of the G-Virus. An ultimate bioweapon. Umbrella must be trying to cover its tracks. But if I have to go, I'm going to take you with me. I just can't take the pain.
Well, that was a surprising turn of events, adventurers. If Irons wasn't already deranged and crazy, he certainly was. And I thought for a moment there that Claire's goose was proverbially and literally cooked. But Chief Irons is now dead on account of the strange organism that burst through from his chest, alien style. Which, but he did give us a bit of information, apart from the fact that we already know that he was working alongside the Umbrella Corporation on their payroll. But, yeah, the creature that's been hunting down Sherry Birkin this whole time is a byproduct of the G-Virus in question. More specifically, as Irons puts it, a G-Virus bioorganic weapon. And the same creature who actually implanted said organism into the chest of the now deceased Brian Irons. And the larvae of which has absconded into the open passageway down there. But I'm not going to go down there just yet. I'm going to explore this rather macabre-looking chamber. And lo and behold, what is that I see? But acid rounds. Acid rounds, I'm so glad to see you. 15 acid rounds. We are doing pretty well. And this is Iron's, this room right here is Iron's dirty little secret of sorts. It's a saw. Flesh blood? That would be terrifying. Fresh blood is smeared on the blade. I imagine flesh is probably also smeared on the blade as well. So, yeah, remember Brian Irons' taxidermy hobby, and remember his maniacal journal? This is where he was going to prepare to taxidermy the body of Michael Warren's daughter. And he certainly has the materials to do so. Formalin, chloroform, and other chemicals. Not to mention various skulls, pelvises, and even what appears to be a spinal column. And definitely a gruesome torture chamber, if ever there was one. But I would like to go back for Sherry, but we cannot bring her down here while the creature is still that creature is still lurking around, and That comment by Claire there is probably the most apt observation that she's made in this entire ordeal. Everything about this is disturbing, but we have acid rounds at our disposal, so we should be able to deal with that creature. Descending down into the depths. And where does this take us to? But a rather conveniently placed underground passage of sorts. But we are not alone here. There is a lava, and it has grown, and is still growing, and it's grown quite large. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Giamago, destined to be malformed, and it spawns lava of its own. Need to deal with you. Oh, I keep missing. Oh. Die. Oh. And it is dead. And ash buttons. And I got hurt by the larvae. I actually am getting hurt by the larvae. Stay away. Yeah, the Giamago is incredibly slow, but it does have have a large forearm, and wipe pretty well. But I'm going to use one of those herbs, annoying little larvae. But with the Giamago now put down, I think it is well, it's a little bit safer now to take Sherry along than it was. But even though the Giamago is now dead, the G bioorganic weapon that spawned it is still lurking around somewhere and is possibly still hunting after Sherry herself. So we need to definitely need to make our timing count.
Claire, you came back!
I can't believe the man who developed the G-virus is actually her father.
What's wrong, Claire?
It's nothing. But I think I found a way out of here. We should be able to find someplace safe if we can just make it out of town.
But...
Don't worry, I'll protect you. I promise. But you have to make sure you don't leave my side. Leon, are you still there? We're leaving.
Are you crazy? The streets are still crawling with zombies.
It'll be all right, trust me. We found a way to the sewer. Follow us later.
Claire! Claire! Wait, wait!
Alas, poor Leon. But something I want to note is that while we were in the sewage disposal plant, I accidentally let slip that Sherry's last name is Birkin. And as Brian Iron so helpfully pointed out before he was brutally murdered, the truth is that she is in fact the daughter of William Birkin, the creator of the G-virus, and William mentioned a contact in his report in his mail to Irons, a contact by the name of Annette. Now, given Birkin's paranoia, especially against outsiders and towards Umbrella, Annette is just so happens to be not only the partner of William Birkin in the G-virus project, but also the mother of Sherry. And speaking of Sherry, we're going to have to take her along with us as we wander down to the sewer. And now Sherry will be accompanying us for most of our journey. Unless we manage to find somewhere safe for her to hide in when we find her. And this is actually fairly touching. Sherry will actually hold on to Claire's hand as a interesting form of idle stance, which is kind of quaint. But the drawback of this is that Claire cannot and must not leave Sherry behind under any circumstances whatsoever. So we will endeavour not to do that. But unfortunately there's no keeping Sherry away from this ominous room, or from the grisly, mutilated body of Brian Irons. Yeah, I would tell you to avert thine eyes, Sherry Birkin, but unfortunately that's not going to be possible. And this cavern formation is quite large indeed. Sherry endeavouring to keep up. Yeah, getting terrible flashbacks of the underground from Arklay. There is a button here that I'm going to push. And lo and behold, there is a conveniently placed ladder, which is descended quite well. And lo and behold, we are now out of the police station altogether, and we've made it to the sewers themselves. Making sure Sherry stays behind us and at our side at all times. But hopefully things shouldn't be too bad.
Come on, let's get out of here.
That being said, there are probably still dangers lurking around in the sewers. That was rather ominous. It looks like the G bioorganic weapon that killed Brian Irons is still after Sherry like I thought.
Sherry, where are you? Sherry!
But Claire! I'm here!
Well, that was truly inconvenient indeed. And this situation is fairly reminiscent of a certain other piece of media that Biohazard 2 is not so subtly referencing. And I'm going to actually spoil it right now. Because Sherry's role in Biohazard 2 is essentially at that of Newt's from the sequel film Aliens by James Cameron. And there are a lot of Aliens references throughout Biohazard 2. But once again, Sherry is all alone, unable to return to Claire, but and she's going to have to press her way forward alone. But that is going to be for next time, adventurers. So when we return, we'll actually see if Sherry can actually make it to some form of safety, or rather deep here within the sewers of Raccoon City. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.